closeness is extremely important to us, not only overall India, which is in itself for us a continent, but also for this part of the world, for this part of India, which is Tamil Nadu and Chennai. So, as you all know, 2-3 years ago, the world of tourism was brought to its knees. And Mauritius decided to close its borders for 20 months, from March 2020 to September 2021. We did this because the government took the view that the health of the population had no price. And in spite of us losing 15% of GDP, minus 15% negative growth in GDP, government took the view that we should protect the lives of our people before doing anything else. It cost the economy a lot, and it was only before the majority of our population were vaccinated. Unfortunately, initially, thanks to donations and collaboration of India with vaccines, as you know, there was a race for vaccines all around the world. We were able then to open our borders on the 1st of October 2021. Prior COVID, Mauritius welcomed almost 1.4 million tourists. In 2022, which was the first full year of opening, we reached 1 million tourists. In 2023, 1.3 million tourists, and in 2024, objective is to reach 1.4 million tourists, which is the figure which we'd reached prior to COVID. What's interesting to note is that in spite that the figures for 2023 was slightly lower by 100,000 for the figures prior COVID, which was the 2019 figures, our revenues were stronger than they were in 2019, even adjusted for inflation, which meant that tourists coming to Mauritius was staying longer and spending more on the destination, which is extremely important. And this allowed the contribution of tourism, direct contribution, which was 8% of GDP, moved to 9% of GDP. This is the importance of tourism directly. Now, if we include the indirect, induced, and catalytic effects of tourism, we get to over 20% of our economy based on tourism. Why am I saying this little background to you is that we are now on the path for growth. And our national airline, Air Mauritius, had a very difficult time, like many other airlines around the world, but is back in business after the government took the view that this national airline should be saved, went through voluntary administration, left administration, and now is back on the path of growth. And that's why they are rebuilding back better and introduced the Chennai route. The Chennai is important not only for business, but for people-to-people ties. And you might wish to know that there are over 30,000 Mauritians who traveled to India last year, compared to around 55,000 Indians who traveled to Mauritius last year. So when you consider the population base of Mauritius, which is 1.3 million tourists, and the population base of India, which is, 1.3 million Mauritians recorded at the last census for 2023, 32,000 came to India. Mauritius, Indians coming to Mauritius, I mean, I think you are now over 1.4 billion Indians, 1.4 billion Indians. We had 55,000 last year. So you imagine the scope of what we can achieve by working together and bringing the peoples of our two countries, a small Mauritius and big India together for better people-to-people exchange. The Mauritians coming to India, a number of them come to Chennai, not only for medical, even though um, a large portion of Mauritians traveling to Chennai also come for medical treatment. But they also come to visit because of their origins and trying to build back. As you know, the Indian government has offered the possibility of getting the OCI ticket to India to a number of Mauritians, and there are a growing number of Mauritians agreeing to take their OCI and assume their their origins as being from India. But as importantly as India has done this, has extended this facility to Mauritius, as importantly, Mauritius has extended another facility to the Indians. And this is the possibility of getting occupational permits to a number of activities, but also the possibility of buying property in Mauritius and having a second home in Mauritius, and for depending on the investment level, getting residency into Mauritius. So on the two sides, there have been initiatives to ensure that we are able um, uh, to meet each other better. Now, as you know, connectivity is key for exchanges, and we are very pleased to note that with the start of the weekly service to Chennai, which I understand is only a first step from Air Mauritius, together with services to Mumbai by Air Mauritius and Vistara, and services to Delhi by Air Mauritius, we now have come back to the connectivity levels that we had prior COVID. And I understand from discussions with the airline community in India that there might be interest from other airlines to join the bandwagon of offering services between India and Mauritius. So we have come here again to reaffirm our attachment to this part, to India and to this part of India. We have come here to ensure that we meet the travel partners, to ensure that we are at their disposal for a direct contact, to ensure that we are able to develop their businesses to Mauritius, and likewise Mauritius travel agencies developing the Mauritian tourism outbound market to India. So, and we're doing it 6 weeks after, just to give you an indication that we mean business, that we want to develop our people to people exchanges and bring it to another level, and certainly much more to what it is today with the exchanges that we are promoting. So thank you very much. I'll now leave the floor to the director of the tourist office for any additional information he might wish to share. Sorry? Out of the 55,000 we got last year, you mean from where do they come from? First of all, the connectivity has a big impact on where the tourists come from. Okay, um, uh, so the connectivity out of Mumbai, which is the largest connectivity, with Air Mauritius going up to 6 frequencies with wide-bodied aircraft from Mumbai per week, and Vistara up to 5 frequencies per week. The Maharashtra region and the region around are the ones that are attracting the most of our tourists. Second area which is being targeted is North India via Delhi with the services of Air Mauritius, and you get you would capture from there the region. Okay, several states that are around around the Delhi area, and obviously now with Chennai, we will have that direct service. And what the trade is telling us is a direct service is something to promote because they see as the Indian airlines take over their international route development, they see direct flights being a very attractive proposal. So as the Indian airlines develop their network and develop their routes, we see the future with direct connectivity, as they have themselves mentioned. Now, we have to recognize that there is a major operator onto Mauritius from India, and that major operator is Emirates. But in spite of their very strong presence in India, for traffic to Mauritius, they only represent 11% of the number of passengers to Mauritius. The major part of the passengers consists of direct flights to the tune of 83%. So even before the Indian airlines go into the massive development that they are witnessing and transformation, the preference of the Indian customers for Mauritius was on the direct services.
Sir, after India and Mauritius contact, Indians are avoid the Mauritius. Mauritius tourism can try to attract to the any special category.
So he's saying that because of all these issues,
Yes.
is that Mauritius is going to attract new packages?
Maldives share the same Indian Ocean as us. They've got a tourist product which they've been marketing worldwide. We are doing our own thing in the Indian market. We continue to develop ourselves into the Indian market because of the reasons that I just explained. I mean, we today believe that there is a great potential out of India for destinations around the world, and it is a developing segment because Indians are traveling more and they're spending more outside. If I look at the latest figures that are mentioned for tourism in 2024, I think you're going to beyond $15 billion worth of expenditure of the Indian tourist outside. So we want to have a fair share of this, and other destinations obviously will do everything they can to capture a fair share. We will do everything we need to do to capture our fair share, especially because we think that there is that strong links that exists between India and Mauritius on many counts deserves that our people-to-people exchange increase substantially moving forward.
What is the salary total?
out of India. We would not been able to get the total outbound number of tourists out of India, but we have 55,000 coming our way in 2023. If you do a small calculation, 55,000 by 70,000 Mauritian rupees, you would be able to get, and divide by 45, you would be able to get the dollar amount. Compared to $15 billion spent by the Indians worldwide, it's a drop in the ocean. Okay, so we would like, over and above the figures of the spend, is the people-to-people exchanges, because India is the closest continent to Mauritius, and as I said previously, there are so many things that are going our way for deepening these exchanges.
Coming from Mauritius to India,
32,000, almost 31,260 is the figure. We are not able to find difference. Sorry.
But they won't be accounted as tourists. They come as students.
Yes.
They won't be accounted as tourists.
Students is a different story.
Just to put things in perspective, this gentleman from Times of India just asked us a question in terms of market segmentation. The first segment is still honeymooners, followed by family holidays. And what we've witnessed in terms of family holidays is that we have a lot of transgenerational holidays. Grandparents, parents, and children become, and grandchildren become. So this have been a little bit the segments. Even the MICE groups also are doing quite well. In the near future, near coming months, we've got few companies that actually mentioned who are coming to visit Mauritius. This is a little bit, what I would like to point out is that Mauritius actually ticks all these boxes in terms of market segmentation. We can appeal to the whole array of Indians who can come to Mauritius. First of all, proximity. Secondly, I would say there's no language barrier. Thirdly, I would say common cultural background. And fourthly, ease. I think the objective this year, last year we welcomed 55,000, as the chairman just mentioned. The objective should be a good 80,000 to get back to 2019 figures. And for the past 4 months, ranging from January to April, we've seen a certain increase in the numbers. See, the point, what we realize is that we're having demand from the south of India, but we shouldn't forget that we have still only one flight. The frequency is very limited as compared to Maharashtra or as compared to Delhi. But saying so that this is a test case for Mauritius, on the basis of the success of this first flight, I'm sure the national company will be launching that flight. And it's quite very neutral because a lot of people come from the south. Mauritians who come to the south of India for medical treatment. Chennai is a major medical hub for us. And secondly, for education, for university, and for cultural exchanges also. So these are the determining factors that will definitely happen. It depends on nationality. What we've seen is from the Indian market ranges from 5 to 7. Yes. We're doing a good 12% over last year. Yeah. Obviously, increased the connectivity has to do with that. April. See, we have the philosophy that the sun should shine for everybody. Notwithstanding the diplomatic relations that between India and Mauritius, I mean, we have two different products. And Mauritius, as India is a continent, Mauritius is a country who've got much more to offer than just the basic seaside and the beach. We've got whole loads of immersive experiences. We've got culture, religion. We've got festivities, and these are actually the immersive experiences that we are putting forward to highlight Mauritius on the tourism radar in India. See, connectivity is visibility. We wish we could have more, but we just came back after 2 years of COVID, which really affected most of the airline companies, but we are open to connectivity, of course. The flights are doing quite well, I would say. We expect in the near future that we manage to add another frequency.
In any case, this is what we are going to do. All our efforts are meant to help airlines, because we don't decide for airlines. All our efforts at tourism is to ensure that we create the necessary conditions for airlines to find it interesting to either increase frequencies from the markets we've identified as priority markets, and India is a priority market for Mauritius, has been in the top 10 markets for many, many years, and we feel that there is a potential to do more out of India, and we are hopeful that we'll be able to convince airlines either to increase frequencies or new airlines to come in. The bilateral air services agreement between India and Mauritius provides for multiple designation of airlines. So it's not only Vistara. And I'd like just to mention here that for 35 years, there were no Indian airlines. When Air India left Mauritius in the 80s, there were no Indian airline flying to Mauritius. So Vistara, when they started last year, in March last year, was a very welcome move. And they took their business decision. So, but the bilateral regime, which is the regime under which airlines operate, provides for multiple designations. So there could be other airlines, Indian airlines, should they show interest and be designated by the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, be able to fly to Mauritius. That possibility exists. So it's up to us now to convince them that there is a business case. And we are, and that what I'm going to say is, I'd like to be quoted exactly, we are cautiously optimistic that there will be developments in the next months between India and Mauritius on the air connectivity side.
Newly married couples prefer to first preference is Mauritius to celebrate their honeymoon. If you have any honeymoon package for them, for them to engage the Indian couple, package, we have to support.
Tourism board actually, our main objective is to increase visibility. But nevertheless, we have partners who work with us, tour operators, travel agents, and hoteliers who are actually here attending the roadshow, who have put up special packages for the Indian community to come to Mauritius. And also, of course, honeymooners, they have some other, how we call, other benefits. There would be special discounts, there would be spa packages, there could be dinner under the stars. You know, there are loads of different
Conditions
there would be conditions. Stay 5, stay 7.
for company corporate
For the mice market, we have what we call the mice initiatives. Actually, for any group as from 50 persons coming to Mauritius, staying for 3 nights, you have VAT waiver. So the 15% VAT, which are charged or reimbursed. This is the minimum. And secondly, we have those QR codes. Oh, Mauritius is visa. I say there's a surge. Yeah. A 12%, as I told you. Yeah. Not more than that. From January to April. Definitely, we will send you the data.
Well, it will be to the airlines to announce their plan. As a tourist board and as a sorry, we talk to all airlines all the time because operating a service to any destination is very often a very long-term shot. So I'm myself meeting most of the airlines operating from this market, most of the major airlines operating, so the second tier, the third tier cities. So there's a full plan with our representatives on ground here to cover the market throughout the year. It so happens that for this week, the focus is on these three cities. Thank
Thank you very much, gentlemen.